and Craig Espilian. You will have 25 minutes in total, 15 minutes of protected presentation time, and 10 minutes of Q&A. During the protected presentation time, judges are not permitted to interject and ask questions. If you finish your presentation before 15 minutes in, you will still only have 10 minutes for the Q&A. There will be a hard cutoff at 15 minutes, and we will be giving you a time warning when 3 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds are left via paper.
Good morning. We are Incognito Business Solutions, and we are so excited to share our streamlined proposal for our client, LifeFloor. While creating this entire proposal, we made sure to keep LifeFloor's both their vision and mission in mind, which is essentially to provide happy experiences while reducing injuries with their products installed. This dynamic company has created the first safety surfacing engineered specifically for aquatics. Most companies take a while or struggle to find their niche, but LifeFloor has already accomplished that. As we can see by these metrics, LifeFloor is projected to make a lot of money within the next year. Within 2022, they earned $5 million in revenue, and within this year, they are projected to earn $7 million in revenue. Unfortunately, there are a few crucial factors that are withholding LifeFloor from reaching their fullest potential. First, there is a lack of software integration between the software that they currently use, including Slack and NetSuite. Next is the manual data entry and calculation. That's not an efficient process, as they're doing all the calculations by hand, cutting, and things of that nature. Next is the lack of process standardization. We are going to revamp the way that they do their process quote submission processes. And there's a delayed communication between the teams, which leads to the inefficiency of their day-to-day processes. And now we will hear from Jasmine.
All right, thank you, Lauren. For our alternative solutions, we will first be solving our problem of manual data entry. For this, we'll be comparing 4 products. These 4 products include Azure, Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, and Oracle Data Integrator. The concepts that we will be using to assess this are ERP, workflow orchestration, affordability, time efficiency, and data storage capacity. We decided that a database would be a good strategy to implement due to the fact that it would remove the need for spreadsheets. And aside from that, it would allow for all data to be stored in one location. It would also allow for us to have an expansive amount of resources with factors like ERP and workflow orchestration, because ERP, enterprise resource planning, allows a business to organize their finances and things all the way through to their inventory. Workflow orchestration would also very much assist in making sure that they can automate processes with their data. This is a very big concern for LifeFloor, as they really want to implement more automated processes. Of all the solutions, we believe that Oracle Data Integrator would be the primary one to implement. Of all, it had the highest for ERP and workflow orchestration, which seem to be our 2 highest concerns for this company. Based on that, we have a few other things that we're going to implement. The reason why we decided to use Oracle Data Integrator is because currently LifeFloor uses Oracle NetSuite. We felt like there should be an integration between softwares because that would allow for data and things to be seamlessly integrated with each other, and for there to be a connection with data, meaning there wouldn't be as much repetition because things are all stored in one place. Aside from that, things would also be more optimized because things can be edited in one location and consistently accessed from one spot. This would also help them better utilize NetSuite, as we have seen that they currently aren't using it to its full capacity. Another thing we would recommend is for for LifeFloor to completely eliminate Adobe Illustrator from their use. We feel like because they're using AutoCAD and Illustrator, most of the tasks they are doing in Illustrator can be done within AutoCAD. Because of that, and AutoCAD as well, there are a few other features which we believe can be used to done many of the automating processes that LifeFloor would like to implement. Some of those include tile counting and a few design, manufacturing, automation, and design features. The final thing that we decided to add that is new is for LifeFloor to implement these laser cutting machines. This would help a lot in automating manufacturing because this happens to be one of the most labor intensive things that is going on within the company. This would allow them to do and complete things quicker and allow them to also produce and do it at a much more efficient rate. And with that being said, considering that we want the company to grow, we would also want the company to grow responsibly. We have formulated a way for LifeFloor to continue to do this process in a more ethical and socially responsible way. One of the client's main concerns when it comes to using machines is that this could become a way of wasting product or wasting resources. However, we have devised a plan where we would be using leftover resources to do custom cutting on site on the projects. That would help LifeFloor better be ethically responsible, and it would also help LifeFloor in the fact that governments incentivize companies for deciding to go green. And with that, I'll now pass it on to Brianna to explain more on how we would change our processes.
Thank you. According to sales manager Gordon Goodwin Johnson, LifeFloor currently has no way to quickly provide hard quotes that's quick and easy. We have addressed this pain point by developing a tailor-made formula, actually two, that will meet LifeFloor's needs for process standardization and address the pain point of manual data entry. These formulas only require the input of one variable, which can be found within the data consolidated in NetSuite. Currently, LifeFloor's workflow overview is messy and antiquated. We propose a restructuring of this workflow overview using the software that we have suggested in order for them to be able to meet their needs and increase their efficiency. And high-level overview of this workflow is sales managers would create an order in NetSuite from the client. Then the design team would review this order, and using the order details that include project surface area and design requests, they would then design it within AutoCAD. If changes need to be requested, sales managers can do that using the AutoCAD web collaboration features. Another advantage of using AutoCAD for the design team is the quick selection tool. By using AutoCAD, they are able to delineate line types that define what will be needed to be done for cutting. So using a count as you go method, the design team can use these different line types to differentiate between how cuts need to be made, and then use the quick selection tool to query how many of each object is created. This automates the tile count selection process, and it removes the potential for errors. Once they create that tile count or they export it from AutoCAD, they can then import it back into NetSuite. This is accessible to the shared services team, who can then relay that tile count to the installer partner in order to account for overages. Once the installer partner finalizes the tile count, the shared services team can use NetSuite to generate the quote using the formula that we have proposed. And then they can finish off by creating that client solutions document. This whole process removes the potential for bottlenecking and delays that were caused by the integration of different softwares. We anticipate our project implementation period to take 9 months. With the proposed automation and process standardization, we estimate that the LifeFloor team will be able to decrease their turnaround time for design creation by 28 to 50%. This will lead to a higher volume of projects being able to be taken on at once, which can increase their closure rate by 10%. Finally, we anticipate that this will lead to a 50% growth in sales from 2022, as opposed to the projected 40% because of this higher efficiency and maximized capacity. This is the project completion process that will be implemented as a result of the solutions that we have proposed. Currently, LifeLore estimates 1 to 2 weeks for turnaround time between the design request and the design finalization. We can reduce this to the targeted 5 to 7 business days, which is how we got that 28 to 50% decrease in turnaround time in the previous slide, by using these integrated software that we have pointed out. Additionally, using the quotes that we have proposed and NetSuite's automated quoting feature, we can reduce the material and labor quoting phase from 1 to 2 weeks to 2 to 3 business days, as this only requires the finalization from the installer partner. Moving on to the manufacturing production phase, we estimate that this will take 2 to 3 weeks, cutting their current 6 to 8 week production phase practically in half because of the introduction of machine and the automation that that provides. It's also notable to point out that LifeLore currently has strained personnel in their factories. And so it's important that we provide solutions without necessarily having to increase their employee capital. With this process, we have created a standardization for each of the designs that are, for each of the areas that are controllable within LifeLore's team. This leaves shipping and installation up to the third-party shipping services and the customer or the installer partner. This allows for proper coding and timelines that can be more accurately followed than what they have currently provided. And now I will pass it to Jasmine to explain our financial overview.
Thank you, Brianna. So as we previously stated, LifeLore is expected to grow to 7 million in revenue this year. That would be, compared to the previous 5 million, a 40% increased growth in revenue. Currently, LifeLore also has a 85% close rate, and with the numbers, considering that they have 360 projects, that means a total of 306 projects are closed in the year process. We have projected that there would be an optimistic level of growth with the processes that we would implement. Because there is already a prediction that there would be a 10% increase in need for custom designs, this would help LifeLore grow an extra 10% in revenue, leading them to have at least 7.5 million in revenue. And depending if that were to grow more, they would be able to have a greater increase. Also, because of the process that we are going to be implementing, there would also be an estimated 10% increase in efficiency, meaning that we would be able to have a 95% close rate, meaning that there would be more projects that can be completed and potentially new projects added into their annual amount. A few of the expenses from the things that we have previously stated that we're going to now newly implement. The first one is the laser cutting machine, which individually each machine is 6,800. And we decided that we would do a soft launch with this, meaning that first we would implement 5. And then once we see progress, we would continue further down in the line to decide to implement more. That would give us a total of 34,000 for the machines. And Oracle Data Integrator, considering that we already have an Oracle service, which is NetSuite, we only have to integrate this one product, meaning that that's the $30,000 to have the processor for that database. And software updates and licensing relating to the data integrator start at 6,400, leading us to a total of $70,400 for our total expenses. This is based on a 100K budget that was given to us or recommended to us by the LifeLore team. And with that being said, we believe that our solution could help LifeLore grow and become a better business and have better productivity. We now open the floor to questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Judges will give your protected presentation time has ended. Judges, you have 10 minutes to ask questions starting now.
Did you take into account the differentiation of whether they're a standard product order or a custom order, or we just assume that it was all custom?
Yes, can you please go to the development of the custom formula. It's under financial simulations. So this is provides further breakdown for this formula. We have two formulas, one that's specific towards the standard tiles and one that is specific towards the custom tiles. When we developed this formula, we took into account the base rate of 56.89, which was given to us in the case artifacts for the square tiles. As you can see, for the proposed standard tile rate, it's a simpler formula because it only takes into account the projected square feet of the project. However, with the custom tile rate, it's a bit more complex because it also counters in the surface area of the design in relation to the surface area of the tile.
Have you tested your formulas?
Yes, so with this 110.87 number that you see for the custom tile rate and the 111 rate for the proposed standard tile rate, that is actually coming from our metrics on buying the machines. So from the $3,400 that it takes to buy the machines, we have formulated these numbers to cover that expense.
But have you tested these formulas to prove that they will deliver the numbers you set? And if so, how did you prove those numbers?
Currently, LifeLore did not give us financial data. That's the reason why we implemented these formulas and the process standardization, because we could not identify a consistency between how they were pricing their rates for the tiles.
And I don't see here, just a quick question on there, you've got the 24x24 tiles, but they start with a 4x8 sheet. And cut that into 24x24 tiles, because your 576, does that take into account the fact that you got to start with 8 tiles essentially? Each sheet starts with 8 tiles, breaks it down into 24x24, but the sheet then becomes the way you have to work with, not the individual tiles.
Based on the sheets that we were given in the artifact, that's how we were able to come up with these numbers based on the measurements that were given in there, which are more so specific to the 8-inch sheet that you're speaking of. So with that being our base, that's how we came up with that.
I'm really interested in your laser proposal. Do you have a company that you got that from, like cost wise? How did you come up with that number?
So we have this model from the company, I believe it's called Style CNC. This is the model of the machine, and they have their base price starts at 6,800, depending on the features that you would like to add to it that makes it more complex. But we decided based on the needs of LifeLore that the 6,800 was a good starting price, because we did look at a few of the things that are implemented. Let's say, for instance, is it okay if I switch this? We have the softwares that can be used within the machines, and AutoCAD being one of them. It would just be a matter of integrating the design in with it. So that's why we were like, okay, that's a good base point, starting point for what LifeLore needs.
And were you able to see LifeLore is a foam rubber tile? Is it able to cut through that
Yes.
without burning it or?
Yeah, this machine is specifically, this model is for the foam materials. That's what we made sure we assured that.
In your timeline, did you take into account any training to change manage?
Yes.
That
If you go to the implementation timeline under resources. So we estimate that the first 3 months of this timeline will include software transitioning and training on the machines and the software. We expect that this could be completed in 1 to 3 months because of LifeLore's size as a company. Within the 4 to 6 month phase, we then see that if there needs to be troubleshooting regarding how they have implemented these softwares, that can be done within this period to ensure that they're getting the maximum utilization of what we have.
And to add to that, the specific trainings that we would include the SQL to make sure people can extract from the database, full training on AutoCAD so everyone's aware of the full features, and training of the machine so that the manufacturing line can get that in line.
Who will be implementing Oracle in the career?
That is probably going to be more related to whoever's using NetSuite. So that is more related to, I believe, the give me a second. It's in the, or actually. So based on this, right, it depends on who's going to be using NetSuite and who's going to be making these quotes and calculating this information. So that goes more into the sales manager and design team and shared services, because this is all the information that is going to be needed to make the final documents that they give to propose to their clients.
And you have a good idea that all of the people that are gonna be impacted are going to just jump right in and do this?
So we understand that most of the time, it's not necessarily the case that everyone will automatically onboard to an idea. But that's why we're doing something that will be a soft launch, and we will see if we're based on the timeline, the results that are generated, if it's something that they would like to take in, then this would be something that we would move forward to. If not, that at that point, it would be to reassess the plan and see how else we can go about implementing this.
Do you have a plan B?
That would be something that we would have to further create, and based on what we see as people are taking this in, if they like the software, if they don't like the software, if they cater to the skills, so we can see a different solution that is more catered to what they can do.
It's important to note that they've already invested $20,000 in NetSuite. So LifeLore is set on using NetSuite, which is why we've tailored our solution around optimizing that use of that software.
What's the current close rate they have?
Current close rate, that was
85%.
Yeah,
85%.
Can you go to your conclusion slide then? So you're making all these changes, but assuming the exact same close rate in terms of projected. That doesn't, I don't know if I understand that, because you've got an optimistic at 95%. But if they're already closing at 85%, that doesn't seem to be a bottleneck, right? Close rate in a business environment is closer to 10 to 15%. At 85, they're already killing it. So, but you're projected, I think you should probably be pointing out that we're not saying they're going to close anymore. We're just going to shorten the time, because they've got $18 million in sales in the pipeline. The goal is to bring that forward quicker, right? So why would you put the projected 85 as projected and not call it out as the existing? I'm just kind of curious.
So this projected, we created this based on what they currently have. So that's why we chose that 85% closure rate. However, with our optimistic view, we anticipate with the increased efficiency, they will be able to take on a higher load of orders, which will then, in ratio wise, increase the rate of closure between their open clients and how many they actually secure the sale with.
Did you test, so your formula, where would that go into play? So I know you said it will remove spreadsheets altogether. Will NetSuite just automatically have that in there, or?
So that company that has to do with that software implementation period, by inputting that formula into the NetSuite and using the Oracle database, they can automate that process from then on out once they set it up.
I go back to when you say they, who do you mean by they set that up?
Well, this is
Who is implementing?
a matter of the training within the company. If there needs to be outsourcing done for training, that would be something that we would have to factor in later on, because we did not include that. But if it's something that can be done within the company based on their already current skills, then that way they can start that way. If not, it would have to be something that would have to be outsourced and brought back in. Questions?
So one of the things that you suggested in your recommendation is doing custom cutting on site, which is something new. And give me a sense on what impact you think that's going to have from a change standpoint, because all of a sudden people that don't do cutting have to do cutting with a different skill set, and how are they going to do that?
To briefly address your question, we actually got that custom cutting on site from the case. The design team, we mentioned that some installer partners prefer to cut the tiles. So we wanted to factor that in into the design. So that is where that custom cutting on site
So
process.
you're going to extend that across more rather than just some markets.
That is up to the discretion of the installer partner.
And the time is up. Thank you for your presentation. The judges will give their feedback in this room at 10:30. Please return here at 10:30 a.m. if you